Hello, this is LEGO's Star Wars Resistance X-Wing Fighter set. The first thing that everyone asks upon seeing this for the very first time is, how does it compare to Poe Dameron's X-Wing Starfighter? Well, this is Poe Dameron's X-Wing Starfighter. This is intended to represent the very one with which he traveled to Jakku in the first place, and he tried to escape to and with from Jakku as the First Order approached in The Force Awakens. To answer the question directly though, it's almost exactly the same thing with a different color scheme. It's not 100% the same, but it's hard to pick out the differences. For all practical purposes, it is just a recolor. I personally prefer this color scheme, and that's probably because it's more generic and it just looks more like what my brain has been trained to expect out of the Star Wars universe for the good guys, and just out of sci-fi stuff in general. You see a lot of grays, and I feel like the Poe Dameron, Black Squadron leader special livery, the almost backwards color scheme, just almost looked toyish. It's correct. Canonically, in universe, it's correct, but this just looks better to me and looks more right and more pleasing and more recognizable and sensible to my brain. The most important feature, of course, is the ability to lock S-foils into attack position, and that's very slick still, as it was before. I think the best that they've done it on any of the X-Wings done to date. You can retract the forward gear. You don't really have rear gear, just a couple of little bricks and studs that the thing stands on, but it keeps it level enough. And in this case, the thing that I liked the least about the Poe Dameron original one with his name on it is actually working out quite well, because it has the blue doubled up rubber bands to keep the wings together and to allow it to retract the wings very securely. And that goes with this color scheme. So those don't bother me at all, even though they're visible. It would be nice to not see them, but they don't bug me. It doesn't clash with anything here. Everything just feels very smooth and purposeful with this one. Canopy, it's the exact same canopy piece. Opens up. This one has a fire extinguisher off on one side, and there's also a wrench, so you can imagine doing some field repairs with this. And in the cockpit, they've got the single control stick up to the front, and it looks like the console sticker is showing the attack on Starkiller base. So they're kind of moving things forward a little bit, even though the setting of everything on the ground is definitely Jakku. On one side of the cockpit is the launcher here, which is just a stud shooter, and that's intended to represent a proton torpedo launcher, I believe. And the wingtips, meanwhile, have these spring-loaded shooters, which integrate in pretty well, and they're easy to fire them off. And if you leave them off, so you leave the projectiles out completely, it really doesn't take anything away from the appearance of this. And you could even go further, taking more of this apart, but that does contribute to some of the structural stability there. And I feel like with the gray colors, it just blends in well enough. There's also a spot, of course, for BB-8 to be placed just behind the cockpit, and he sits down just low enough so his head is sticking up, and that's appropriate. Here's something that's easy to miss. On the back, you can pull all this off. Usually the gear comes off just by itself, but then you can pull what remains, and that comes out. A little unit that you can do some pretend service on, a little power unit back there. And this is a printed tile piece, looks like a Gonk droid front or something like that. Useful piece. Yeah, just a little extra detail there that they didn't need to include, but it's nice. The figures are Poe Dameron, Lor San Tekka, the older gentleman who had the other part of the map to Luke Skywalker, and then a First Order Flame Trooper. Now, Poe Dameron has his same jacket that we've already seen on Finn before, but it's a different print, because it has the different undershirt, and even just the jacket part itself has been done differently here. The face is the same as was included in the other X-Wing set. Lor San Tekka has very nice detailing throughout him. I think he looks appropriate. I also really like the look of the First Order Flame Trooper. Fully decked out with his proper weapon and everything. He's got the canisters on the back. It's just very proper. I like that. The first two here have alternate faces and alternate expressions, and all three have printing on the backs of their torsos. Also, Podameron comes with a helmet, a flight helmet, specifically for him, and that is molded with two different colors. So it's got the white base, but they also put in the transparent yellow color that's just molded in there. So you can't retract that in and out, but it looks great and it's really well printed. If anybody wants to translate the Aurebesh there, please do. Multiple colors here. Just they've really been doing fantastically well with some of these specialized helmet prints for Star Wars in particular. Just really good detailing and lots of colors. The set also comes with just the smallest bit of Jakku village or outpost terrain here, with a little bit of the sand, a couple of containers, and one of them has a top on it. You can store extra studs for your stud shooter in there. This has the most basic of action features with the, I think it's supposed to be a small evaporator here, but you can just make it look like it's been shot down and caught on fire, which again is just appropriate to the scenes that the set is based on. The underlying build for the X-Wing here I think is really, really good, very solid. The action for opening up the S-foils is good. It's smooth. The color scheme actually works here properly with the blue rubber bands going with the blue in the theme. I like all of the sand blue that went into the build of this. You know, it's just a nice, relatively uncommon color, but it does a great job of blending in the standard Lego blue with the light bluish gray and also the dark bluish gray. It just all blends together very nicely. So I think that this thing looks fantastic on display, whether it's on the ground or kind of hanging up in more of an action and flight pose. I feel like this one is the one to get between this and the previous Black Squadron design. This just feels a lot more collectible to me as a longtime Star Wars fan. Both of them are accurate and appropriate, but I like this one better myself. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts in a comment, including if you like the other one better and disagree with my opinion. It's always good to hear different thoughts from different perspectives. Thank you for watching, and I hope to have a chance to talk to you again very soon.